We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right, welcome to Friday. We finally got here on Friday. Ole Miss versus Alabama tomorrow, 2:30 Central on CBS. Gary Danielson, Brad Nessler, and the boys will be there on the call. I am looking forward to it, as are all of you. Before we get started, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. Travel and Cruise World, 1-800-330-7461. What I was trying to do is to find a resource in Central Florida. Everybody needs a vacation right now. Everybody needs to get away. And if you go down and get hit with something unexpected, it can ruin your vacation. It can take away your chill. Not yet. Tonight I'm getting my annual pass, Corey. But good question, though. He asked if I was streaming from Space Mountain, but it's not quite time for that. So, looking for things to not ruin your vacation, look them up at 1-800-330-7461. That's travelandcruiseworld.com. You can also go to book a tailgate for all of your groving needs. That could be tailgating stuff. They can store your equipment for you that you're already tailgating with. They can rent you what you don't have. They can give you an extra tent if you need it, and they can put a TV up there and even pick up your catering. Go to www.bookatailgate.com and they can help you out. Good morning, Ashley Robinson, or Ashley Roberts. I cannot wait until kickoff tomorrow, she says. I think everybody is like that. We have a live stream right now that we did last night with some of the boys from Tide Talk Podcast. It's about an hour long to where we talked about this game in depth. If you are interested in that, tune into that. I think the replay is floating around there somewhere. If not, you can catch it on a YouTube page. So you can see the podcast down below, but we can do video as well. Go to Old Positively or at The Stephen Willis on Twitter. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. On YouTube, Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe and hit the bell. You'll know not only that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And of course, you can go to Twitch, Positively Ole Miss, all one word. Jam-packed show today. Absolutely amazing, as you would expect coming into Alabama weekend. This will be our last show for the weekend until after the game. You'll hear from us next during the review show. Sorry about that, Ashley. It's a very Gone with the Wind type thing. So, very good. Yeah, I bet you have. It's like me with my last name. I've heard what you talking about, Willis, like my whole life. And I have all that there. Danny Grimsley says good morning as well. So today's show, we're going to talk about why it's time to answer the question, and we'll tell you what the question is and what that means. Second, we will talk about the result of the games. We'll go through each result and determine what that means for Ole Miss moving forward. And the second segment is Women's Basketball Media Day. We have some sound from Coach Yo, Shakira Austin, and that might be it. I think Maddie might be there as well. So maybe. So tune in for that. We have that ready, queued up to go. Uniforms for the game tomorrow. Traditionals with the powder blue lid, so it'll look a whole lot like 2015. It's almost like they're trying to rekindle that magic. But it's a whole bunch of play good, look good type situations. So gray pants, white jerseys with red numbers, and powder helmets. So I'm pretty excited about that. So it's time to answer the question. What's the question? The question is, Are we good enough to take Alabama's best? And make no mistake, everybody, we're going to get Alabama's best because after last year, Nick Saban circled the Ole Miss game. He won't talk about it. They do whatever they do. They're going to say whatever they need to say. He circled that game. Ole Miss 650 yards of offense, 48 points, both Alabama records given up against Nick Saban. That has to be a bruise on the ego. So he was sure to get his guys ready to go. And all the course during week, you got the A-plus treatment from Nick Saban. Their players are very locked in and preparing very well. Nick Saban is begging the crowd to be there early and be loud to try to affect the Ole Miss offense. You're getting all the big game treatment from Nick Saban. He would not be saying these things if they were not true. He's not a Lou Holtz poor mouther. He is, when he says that he thinks Ole Miss is one of the best teams in the country, he genuinely means it. Now, there are going to be people in the Ole Miss fan base that's going to bother a little bit because they're used to getting their hopes up and getting them dashed. And they see this as an opportunity. Do you believe? And you get them dashed. Is this going to be the same old for Alabama? Because Ole Miss went into Alabama, I think, in 99 with Deuce, and Sean Alexander rushed for like 3,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, some ridiculous number. But it was a game that Ole Miss was expecting to win. They went over there with Eli and got beat like 41-3. 2016, Ole Miss they might not have been the favorite, but everybody wouldn't have been surprised if Ole Miss won. Couple of special teams punt returns in Alabama. In other words, we've all seen this before. But this feels different. This feels really different. And that's the reason I'm phrasing it as it's time to answer the question. The question is, are you ready to compete with Alabama? Pretty simple. Are you ready to compete with Alabama? And if that answer is yes, you will go out there and do a great performance. Now, the scoreboard, that doesn't really matter. We'll talk about that in just a second, what that means. But the important thing is, we talked about earlier this week, don't get beat before kickoff. Don't get overly deferential to Alabama. Don't freak out by seeing the numbers on the side of the helmet. Go there confident, which by all accounts they are. They're pretty locked in. And in their press conferences this week have been completely business as usual. So they're very locked in. So I'm not expecting that one to happen. And then just fight the crowd noise and everything goes on and perform. Do what you can do. You have an elite wide receiver unit. You have an elite quarterback. And you have the best running back room in the conference. Use it. And I think they will. Because Lane Kiffin and everybody showing up, those guys are acting like they know something. Now, it might be for not. I mean, but it could actually be possible that they actually do know something and can jump on them. And Corey at Believe in Georgia says Ole Miss needs to shut down Jameson Williams. He actually, no deep shots, no 80-yard kickoff returns. I wouldn't kick to him, honestly. I would just kick the ball out of bounds and give Alabama the ball at the 35 every time because this cat's dangerous. He reminds me a lot of Mike Wallace. And survive the initial wave and settle in and do your thing. Alabama is going to beat you on script. The script is where they separate with what they're doing defensively, with what they're doing offensively, with their superior athletes. All this is in play. If you can survive that and make the game your own, it'll start to look like the second, third, and fourth quarter of the Florida game. But if it wasn't 21-3, that second, third, and fourth quarter, it would have looked completely different because Florida would have just spread out and won the game actually relatively easy. But because Alabama was up 21-3, Florida had trouble because the side of the helmet, Florida came in, freaked out a little bit about who they were playing and didn't think they could win the game. and it was 21-3 by the time they realized they were in it and they had the talent to do it. That's all she wrote. Now, what will this mean moving forward? What will this mean moving forward? And we're going to go through, if Ole Miss, let's say, we'll start from the worst case scenario and move to the best case scenario. Because the worst case scenario is plausible. This is Alabama. There's 4 and 5 stars everywhere. There's a chance they'll just jump on you. And it'll look like 41-7 or whatever that was when Eli was the quarterback. That chance exists. That's a legit thing. Now, that for Lane Kiffin, this is a complete free shot. There's no result that will be negative. There's none. Now, there's some that would stem the momentum, but there's none that would be really negative. Let's say Alabama wins 41-21. That seems legit. I mean, Alabama covers the line, just barely does it. But that's about as much as I think they could blow out Ole Miss, unlike 3 years ago when they put 60 on there and Ole Miss had 3 or something like that. I think with that, the momentum kind of stops. Because right now, they've got all the momentum. All the 5 stars want to visit Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is building something very special. This game is important to, if you lose the game, at least lose close. Pull a Florida. That needs to really be the worst case scenario for momentum. Because then you can tell recruits, okay, we just got whipped, but what if you were here? What if you were on the outside there? I don't think that guy could have covered you on the outside. And all of the momentum that they have right at the moment is very reminiscent of, honestly, 2012, even though this is kind of a 2013 type situation this year as far as play on the field. But we don't have that class. We need to go out and find our Robert, and that's honestly 2023, by the way. That's the class that this is building towards at the moment. But that's what that means. It means if you get beat by 20 points, it's kind of a stop of the national momentum. You just kind of get shoved into the middle of the SEC pack. A&M's going through some of that right now. And they're a really good team. So good teams can end up there. Now, if Ole Miss loses a close game, let's say they lose a 35-31 game or a 41-38 game. If Ole Miss loses that game, all of the momentum remains intact. This means they covered the line. It was competitive all the way to the end, and it's probably an extremely entertaining game. And doing that will help you on the recruiting trail. Not necessarily for the 2022 guys, but for the 2023 guys. This is a game where, as much as I hate to say it, Arch Manning will be at this game. It's kind of funny because on his official visits, he's going to Ole Miss and he's going to a game to see Ole Miss. I do not think Alabama's much of a factor. Alabama wants to be a factor and they're going to do all they can. I don't think they're much of a factor. This is going just real similarly to Eli's recruitment, if you remember that, 18 years ago. Good grief, 18 years ago. Or no, more than that. It was 21, 22 years ago. And Arch isn't going to Georgia, Corey. No matter what you hear, he's not going to Georgia. He's going to end up at Ole Miss or Texas. And he's going to do all his visits. Doesn't mind blaming him to take the visits. You're going to see a whole bunch of disinformation thrown out of people playing the telephone game. But I wouldn't expect him in Georgia, in my opinion. But if Ole Miss wins a close game, it's the same situation. If they lose it, if they win it, it's going to provide the same level of benefits for recruits. And if Ole Miss wins by 2 touchdowns, Ole Miss becomes the talk of college football. The talk of college football, and the momentum can really blast off. You talk about a whole bunch. No, he's not going to Georgia, Ashley. I don't believe that at all. Ashley asked about Georgia and Texas. I don't think he's going to Georgia at all. It's between Ole Miss and Texas. And that's going to be the way this builds. Everybody else is going to be trying to get into it, but I don't think they're going to be able to get into it. I think Sarkisian at Texas is a little bit of an X factor in his recruiting as a good player because there's a relationship that was maybe built previously. But all the ties at Ole Miss, I think it'll be those two. I think he could go to Texas. I do that. I do think that. But I'm not. I'm expecting him honestly at Ole Miss at this point until I find out otherwise. I'm going to be true blue on that one. So that is the question, and that is the expected results of the game. We talked a little bit of Arch Manning. Earlier this week, we have Quinshon Judkins and Jarrell Stinson highlights on the show. If you want to go back to, I think it might have been yesterday's show. You watch yesterday's show, those highlights are on there, along with Men's Basketball Media Day. We're going to do a little bit of Media Day for Women's Basketball. Talk about that for a bit. But before then, we're probably going to take a little bit of a break. Which, let's see. I don't know why I don't set this up, because this should have been set up before then, but whatever. But we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hit women's basketball a little bit. We'll do final stuff for Alabama. And we will, kind of maybe preview the basketball season. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is going to look, but it's probably going to be women's basketball and talking Alabama a bit. So stick around. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. We are having a good time today. We're getting ready for Alabama tomorrow. This week is not necessarily flown by, but we have reached the conclusion of the week, and I am looking forward to that, definitely. I want everybody to have safe travels when you go over to Tuscaloosa. If you're not going over there, be, let's see, what's the word? Be safe, not over 100, basically, is what I'm saying. And, don't worry about visiting fans. Do what you need to do, but, don't get overly confrontational and have a good time and just enjoy yourself. Especially with them serving alcohol now at the stadium, I'm looking forward to it immensely. The things I'm looking forward to in this game is I do not think we need to kick the ball to Jamison Williams. He is averaging 45 yards a kickoff return and has 2 touchdowns. Now, granted, it was against Southern Miss, but it still counts. Those records do hold water at the moment. I don't think we should kick it to him. I think we should pick on Henry To'oTo'o. Great player, excellent run stopper, but in the past game you can RPO him, I think. So hit that. And I think offensively we need to play our game and play clean. If you go out there and you see the offensive line with a bunch of penalties, the offense is turning the ball over. That does not bear out very well for us. But those are the things I am looking for. I'm just really excited about this game. It's nice to see a 7-year period where it's like Ole Miss is honestly really here. Guy, I know you're replying to Ashley. He said that Kiffin has to beat Saban to get Arch, in his opinion. No, I don't think Alabama is necessarily in the game for Arch. I think they're a secondary member in the recruitment. Now, they're going to try hard, and they could get in the game, but I don't know if they're there right now. Right now, it feels like an Ole Miss Texas competition. That's the one, whenever he takes the official visit to Texas, that's the one to worry about. Not necessarily Alabama. So, we are going to do Women's Basketball Media Day, and we're going to come back and talk about it a little bit and put a bow on the Ole Miss Alabama pre-day show. I'll say pre-day show? I don't know. And get ready for a great weekend of football.
Man, where has the time gone? It seems as if, I don't know, we were fighting 2 pandemics, marching, changing state flags, the whole nine. And so now to be back here in person, I'm just overwhelmed. There's a overwhelming feeling of gratitude, just happy to be here and moving in the right direction.
I think it just started with, our summer. We started off really strong. Obviously, like you said, we had a great season coming off of the year before, but I think I can speak for the whole team that, we're not satisfied with how it went, and we have way more to, unleash for the conference. So, like I said, it really just started with summer, our mentality, just, put it in the work. And this year, the sky's the limit. Everybody individually has a better mindset this year that we can definitely win a lot of games. So, we're just hoping to get it started the right way.
It's grown tremendously. Every day this summer I was in the gym, working hard, just trying to get my confidence back, get my mojo back. Coming in as a freshman, SEC, it's hard. It's a big deal. It takes a lot of work. So I've just been trying to just get better each and every day, control what I can control, my effort, everything that I put in. Because I know as long as I keep putting in, I'll get results. Things will look up in the right direction. I'll be able to help my team any way I can.
Maddie, out of everyone, she had the best summer. She just came back looking like a brand new person. For a long time, I was singing the whole, I don't want freshmen anymore, and then I see Maddie, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess they're fine after a year. So she really worked hard. She took the evaluation that we gave her at the end of the season seriously, and it worked out. I'm really excited about her this season.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the girls just simply didn't know we were capable of. Just coming from a program that just wasn't used to winning a lot, and the WNIT was definitely a great experience for everybody. I definitely felt like if the SEC tournament went a different way, we probably would have been in the tournament. But I think it was a great step. We can't skip any steps with building a program, and it'll definitely lead us to next year. Hopefully, I think it'll better prepare us than if we weren't to go into the tournament. So. Definitely.
My confidence was all over the place last year. Of course, coming in, like I said, the SEC, the biggest stage of them all with great players, playing alongside Shakira Austin. I'm all over the place. I was all over the place. I want to just get back to just being consistent. Consistency is key to me. When I'm consistent, my confidence continues to grow. I'm a better player. I'm being able to help my team out in a better way. So it's just all about staying consistent. That's my goal, staying in the present, taking one day at a time, not thinking too far in the future, and just, like I said, giving everything I can give each and every day.
Yeah, John Gordon says it best. Expectations are outside influences. My focuses are inside expectations because, when I look at rankings, when I look at outside opinions, those people are outside. Only us, we know where we are and where we're trying to go. So for me, what's important is how we feel after every practice. Did we feel like we got better as a staff? Do we feel like we put them in the best situation? Because the proof will be in the pudding come November 11th. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that is what our focus is. But come on, everyone understands. We've put it out there. It's NCAA tournament or bust as far as I'm concerned. And that's what we preach to the team, and that's what we expect. And so pressure is a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege. I'm looking forward to seeing Coach Yo and her girls this season and what they can accomplish. They grew greatly last season. Went very far in the WNIT. I think they lost in the finals to Rice, and it looked really good. They got a bunch of transfers in. They're playing that game. I'm interested to see what they would look like, and I'm going to be paying attention to that as well. God just clarified on the chat what he meant is that the win makes us contenders. Yes, absolutely. A win would build on all the momentum that we have at the moment. There are 5 stars starting to look at Ole Miss over and over, and it's starting to look like a little bit like 2013 or 2014, going before the 2016 class. And a win would absolutely do that. We talked about that as far as keeping and losing momentum, and that can be said. Guy also said it's been said lots of times that Peyton went to Tennessee for the natty, not the school, because Ole Miss was on probation. Yes, if Ole Miss was not on probation and we're not going through the SMU-like type sanctions that they received in 1994, Peyton Manning would have been at Ole Miss. Peyton Manning's, you might not know this, Peyton Manning's name is actually on the Manning Center as well. So he gets to go as well. So let's see what's going on. We got Alabama. We got some chat going up. I'm gonna keep talking for probably a couple minutes. Normally I'll let you guys leave a little early, but if you have any questions in the chat and want to throw them at me real quick, we can do that since we have about 4 or 5 minutes left here. And that is absolutely correct, William Roberts. As far as Peyton, Ole Miss being on probation is the only reason he went to Tennessee. He would have been a Rebel with no probation. Yes, absolutely. I actually went on a recruiting visit with Peyton Manning. I think it was the Georgia game in 93. Might have been 93. Might have been 92. I don't know. But went up there, and it was just kind of funny to see everybody fawning all over Peyton, and a bunch of us just could do whatever we wanted to, and it just didn't matter. We were just there the wrong weekend. But yeah, I did go on that recruiting visit, and he was actually there. So that was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to this game, and you need to go there and not be overly deferential. They're pretty locked in as it is. They respect what they do. They're not overly deferential. I'm not really worried about that. But whenever a game like this, you can lose the game before kickoff. And I don't think they're heading down that road. And they're very locked in, so they need to play clean, especially offensively, but even on defensively. Watch out for targeting calls. Watch out for face masks or things like that. There's little penalties defensively that can come back to bite you because they have superior athletes on the other side. So it's about getting to where you need to be. If you're a step slow, you're out grabbing. If you're out grabbing, there's a chance you're going to get a face mask or something like that. So if they play clean and eliminate that, I like their odds. Bryce Young has not seen a drop 8 defense. Every quarterback that sees this defense the first time struggles. Will he be the known example of that? I do not know. But it is a possibility of what's going on. Guy asks, what do you think the likelihood with a loss we beat Arkansas after? Actually, they talk about Alabama used to beating people twice, and that became a narrative. And that was because they were such a physical team. And that's back in the days of Jim McElwain and Kirby on defense when they built that different monster in the early 2010s. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If you look at Florida, they came out and curb stomped Tennessee pretty good. And that was after the Alabama. So I don't know if that is happening as much as the narrative might say it is, because everybody says, don't let Alabama beat you twice. And that's absolutely true, but I don't think it's a physical beating anymore. They do so many tempo things, and you're going to become a little bit, I don't know, softer might be the right word, than what they were, because they went from playing in a phone booth to spreading you out, and they just beat up everybody to, beat up nobody. Yeah, and Tennessee's a dumpster. They really are. They really are, guy. But I'm just talking. Tennessee actually played fairly well early. Hayden Hooker, they might have had a chance to cover that game if Hayden Hooker wouldn't have gotten hurt. But Florida came out pretty composed, pretty relaxed, and just kind of handled business. And even if you go back in time, like the week after Ole Miss beat Alabama in 14, Ole Miss took it to Texas A&M, just beat the life out of them. So this might be a little bit different team than the one that was back in like 2011, 2010, and the last gasp of the SEC playing like that. We have hit our time. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Today's been a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoys the game. I hope everybody is safe, and we will see you Saturday or Sunday, I should say. We'll see you Sunday for the review show, and Monday we'll be right back here to talk about the POMcast. We're going to try and schedule another mashup for Ole Miss and Arkansas, since you guys enjoyed that so much. So we need to call Kevin and his guys at the Hog Talk podcast to get that scheduled up as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I want everybody, like I said, to be safe, have fun, and hopefully this weekend, hopefully we can do it. Pretty excited about it. But to everybody else, good luck, be safe, and of course, hotty toddy.